Oh, speed is too fast. Oh, it'll damage the glider. Now, jumping in today, I have another plan. Today, I want to hopefully dive into the immersive engineering mod. Now, the reason for wanting to get into immersive is to hopefully get us some better gear, which is going to hopefully make us survive a lot easier inside of a lot of these lootable structures, which I want to go out and explore. So I'm telling you right now, this copper gear is just not going to cut it. Now, before I go and do all of that, I do want to talk about a few things, as I've seen a lot of you guys asking about it in the comments, and you guys have been asking about the ring. Yeah, if you remember right at the start, we chose expert and it gives you this ring. However, you don't have to equip it, even though you've received it, but I think it is the only way you can get it. This ring is awful. I just want to make that very clear. I thought I made it clear at the beginning when I first started playing this. This ring is an awful experience. It looks like those blessings are great, but much like life, those blessings are short-lived because you most likely will not live very long because of the curses. So these curses are so bad that it actually, to me, nullifies any of those bonuses. Who cares about an extra level of looting? Who cares about an extra level of fortune? The experience would be nice, and the enchanting power, I mean, I'm only going to use that once. The ender ring functionality, I can get that without this thing. And yeah, I mean, we get access to some interesting relics down the road, but we don't even get to know what those are until we equip this. So it's awful. I will say that. And I'm not going to be equipping it. I have made my decision. I'm not going to be equipping it. I think it would be a bad decision, as it basically puts you into like a pseudo hardcore mode where you can lose all of your hearts, I do believe. And if you do, it's game over. Now, yes, that does sound a little bit like a challenge, but I actually enjoy more than the fighting aspect of mod packs. I enjoy the building and the infrastructure and just the automation. I really love that stuff. And needing to worry about the fact that I can't sleep at night just sounds like not fun. Just not fun to me. Honestly, between the not being able to sleep and then like neutral mobs being an enemy to you, that just ruins it for me right there. I don't know. It's just something about it. Now, some things I would like to note about that ring. If you do not equip it right away, there are some relics I do believe that you can't even unlock unless you've acquired enough time while wearing that ring to use those relics. So you do have to equip it. So even me equipping it right now, I may not even be able to use some of those relics that require me to have had that ring equipped for a very long time. Now, with that aside, let's talk about what I'm going to need to get done today in order to even start playing around with the immersive engineering. Now, I've got these platforms set out, and I want to use this to get into create a bit more. And so I want to get all of my stuff set back up, and I have an idea for setting them up. I want to have this be basically a building that I can walk into like this, and then my automations are going to be right here, still in view, but they're going to be like in this area. I'm going to try to keep them to this side in some form. Now, as far as rotational power goes, we don't have to worry about having water wheels all over the place because we have water wheels. They're right here. And I have already set up and linked them all together. So I have some gearboxes, and believe it or not, this actually works out perfect. The gearbox is right here. The shafts run down, which I'm going to encase, and then they just go into another gearbox, another vertical, and then a gearbox. And I don't have to have any weird gearboxing or anything. They just all link. So all of these water wheels are now effectively linked to each other, and all of their stress is now combined on these shafts. And we should be able to use some chain drives to actually pull this rotation off. And then, because we made precision mechanisms, we can actually use a speed controller to change the rate of speed on location. I kind of have my setup going up here, and let's talk about how I want to actually pull off of our power. So the way that I can do this is by breaking this and using an encased chain drive. So this is not going to mess with the rotation of the total system, and we can just go ahead and drag this along here And the chain drives have this really cool property where, if I go ahead and get this set up, where you can actually flip these. And so you can actually have this go from its horizontal to vertical like that. And that's one of the major things that you can do with this. I wish it would just automatically connect, but I got to keep turning all these. But I'm going to route these all the way over here. And I should be able to connect this in to this. Let's see. Let's do that. And now I want to go ahead and rotate this just like so. And I want to use a shaft. And I'm going to bring this up and then use a gearbox to turn this. So this right here is a speed controller. And it needs a large cog in order to work. And the cool thing is you can power it from the top with a cog, or you can power it from the side like we're doing here. Now this is rotating. Everything should be spinning, and we're going to be able to visualize this once we get this spinning. And we notice it's also spinning the wrong way. Well, the cool part about the way this works is we can actually flip the rotation by just dragging it up here. And now I've flipped the rotation, but you can also change the RPM and bring this thing all the way up to max. So now this is running as fast as it can possibly go. And you might notice right here, if I hit F3A, I believe that fixes the belts, like stopping every now and then. So yes, I should be able to take like a raw ore, for example, zinc, and I should be able to put it in here, and that is going to get crushed incredibly quick now. Especially with it running at max RPM. And bam, look at there. All of that, it was just generated and went straight into this barrel incredibly quick. Now, I do have to make sure these fans are going in the appropriate direction. I also want to grab my filter. I believe this is a, let's see, that's the wrong filter. I think this attribute filter was the correct filter. And I'm going to get a water bucket. And as soon as I put this down, we pretty much have our ore processing back up and running. I just got to make sure this is actually processing. There it goes. And that should be good. I think this fan, this fan is actually not connected. So I just got to hook a chain drive up to it. That'll make the speed go a bit faster. There we go. Now we got 2 fans blowing on this, and perfect. We're back to at least where we were at before with our ore processing. Now for me to be able to visualize how much stress we have in our network of connected devices, we can plop this on. And then we'll be able to actually see now we're using 60, or no, we're not using 60. We basically used 5,000 of our total available 65,000 SU. So this is using about 7% of our water wheel's power. Something to note, by the way, if we actually turn this down to, for example, like 80 SU or 80 RPM, then we'll notice that it's actually using way less. It's only using 2% now of our total SU available. And so this is kind of a way of min-maxing everything once you have all of your stuff in place. Something that is going to be costing a lot are these encased fans, and they're basically wasting the SU, but it is very expensive to have a bunch of these, as each one of these rotational speed controllers cost a precision mechanism. So yeah, keep that in mind. I also went ahead and got my my processors back up and running, just my fan processors. These are all still manual. I just put the item into the top. The chute will put it onto the depot, and then I'm using a smart chute now with a filter inside. And this filter, by the way, has a tag, and I use the add opposite attribute. And whenever you do that, it says cannot be smoked. So if it cannot be smoked, then it will allow it to pass through, which is kind of nice. So you don't have to make a deny list or anything like that. That allows you to have multiple things inside of a filter. But with that said, I now have this all up and running, and yes, this is just basically running the same way I just set the other one up, and I'm running directly from this line into here and up into a gearbox, which then allows the rotation and allows me to blow onto the depots. Now, I also set up my encasing maker and also moved my press. So I have my press still over here as a backup, but this press is now running, and this is utilizing a controller, a speed controller for this. And the power is coming from here, and then I'm just transferring it into this casing and then transferring that power over here. So yeah, is there an easier way to transfer power, for example, from right here to over here? Not exactly. So with Create, everything is just so bulky, and you just kind of have to get by with that, with the idea of, yes, moving stress from this area to this area, may take a couple of gearboxes or a couple of encased chain drives. I still feel like that's one of the biggest hurdles with the Create mod is just how bulky everything is. Everything takes a single block space to, for example, add cogs and so on and so forth. And so just compressing things down starts to really look bad once you start like trying to make it nice and tidy and small. It doesn't look the greatest when that happens. And so I don't necessarily think it's intended to be small, but at this point we now have some incredibly fast plates. So I can put the plates in here. I like to go from left to right for input on left, output on right. And I typically like to stick with one way. If you do it the opposite way, then make sure you stick with it one way or the other. But now we can make casings really fast. So let me grab this and some alloy. And if I give this some alloy, which by the way, I probably want to set up a hopper or a chute. Probably a chute would be faster. But as soon as I put this in here, we'll see that this is now making cases pretty quick. By the way, another thing I can do is go ahead and decorate these. Yeah, I feel like that's going to look nice, especially when we start to build out what these actually are. Now, there's a couple of designs for the mixer that I kind of want to use while I'm putting this together. And one is simply dropping the items, but I think that items might actually get caught up. No, they actually work just fine. So this is one method, but I was experimenting. We can actually use chutes in a very interesting way. So chutes can go directly on here. And if we have a mixer, for example, let me go ahead and craft a couple of mixers, right? We just need, a couple of cogs? So if we craft a mixer and we go ahead and get it placed in, now this mixer will still go through the block, but what we should be able to do is add the chute like this. And now we kind of have the mixer going through the chute. And then we can put two barrels on the top and the two chutes will converge into this central location, which will then put it into the basin, which gives us more inputs on our sides here. Now we won't be able to see the mixer actually working, but this could also work. I'm pretty sure that if I go ahead, for example, and I pop up here and I add, let me go ahead and get me something else to stand on. If I go ahead and get these placed in, this should also, just like everything else, allow items through. So if I put these in, we should have two depots in here, and we do. So this also would be a nice way of getting things to work. Now, the only thing I am worried about is, unlike this, you can have two separate inputs going into the machine at any given moment. With this, well, if it converges in the center, well, one is going to take priority over the other, and one is going to go in here, and you did see both went in here, but when this fills up, then this is going to back up, and only one item, I believe, can hang inside of a chute at once. Unless I'm wrong. I could absolutely be wrong, and there's only a couple of ways to test this. For example, if we put like a couple of stacks here and a stack here, we should see there's only 16 sturdy stone now stuck in here, and there's only 16 sturdy stone in here, even though I did put two inputs. So yes, that is the downside of doing this. So as cool as this would be cool for one input possibly. I kind of like this design better. And there you go. You just got a taste of what actually goes on in my brain every day. So now with everything hooked up and gear ratioed in, we can see how fast this is going to be. So I'll put the andesite over here and this over here, and then this should now insert into this basin, and this is just going to start producing very quick. I have a hopper underneath here that is accepting it, and perfect. We now have this all going in fairly quick. Now these mixers that I just set up are going to be very important because they can produce steel for us. Now I find it kind of interesting in this pack how this was all set up, but we have two different mods that add two different steel variants. One being the one from Ad Astra, and one being the steel version from Immersive Engineering. However, they are both allowed to be used to make immersive engineering things. However, the production of steel actually has quite a progression line that you need to go through in immersive engineering in order to technically get it. But not in this pack. Because we have the ability to make these two different types of steel, we actually have two different recipes. So the normal recipe would be to have coal coke. The coal coke then needs to be made in a coke oven, and then we would take it through, use the coal coke to take the iron and turn it into steel. This is the normal way with immersive engineering, and it also has a progression as you go up into the blast furnace. but the ad astra method is a lot different. And I did see that there is a recipe to just simply take iron directly into steel, which is interesting. You can just smelt it. So you just smelt iron. So you're just basically bypassing the entirety of that way. So yes, so we can technically use this interchangeably, apparently. There's also the forged steel ingot. Now, this is a different steel ingot. This is used for a bunch of different other things. But yes, as far as this goes, we can actually make steel and turn it into plates and use it for tools and everything, and use it for immersive engineering just by simply smelting iron. Now, that was for me to just simply explain to you the craziness of the situation here. Now, making steel is great, but we still technically want a coke oven. If we want to do anything with immersive engineering, we are really going to have some creosote oil. And the only way we can obtain creosote oil is by actually building and setting up a coke oven. Now, the coke oven is going to require quite a bit of clay and brick, and we also need some sand in order to make coke bricks. And I believe we only need 27 of them to make the entire multi-block structure, which, by the way, is just a 3x3 cube. And just like this, I now have the 27 blocks. Now, I'm also going to need a hammer from Immersive. So let's go ahead and get the hammer made. It is going to require some string. Thankfully, Immersive gives us that hemp that we have, and that can be turned directly into string. So we have plenty of hemp now built up, and now we have ourselves a coke oven. So I do want to put the coke oven in the wall here. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to do this. I think I want the coke oven to just be right here for right now. And I was planning on having this like extra room here for immersive related items. So we're going to have some immersive stuff here. But if I just build this out, it is just a 3x3, just like this. And then you hit it with the hammer and it turns into a multi-block. So now we just got to put some coal in here. Now I recommend using coal blocks. It is going to take a bit, or seem like it's going to take a bit longer to do this, but you'll actually get more creosote oil, I believe, out of doing this operation than if you were to just put them in individually. Yes, you actually get 500 millibuckets more by doing the block form. Now this is going to take quite a bit of time. I think if I look at the coke block, we can actually see the time. No, it doesn't actually tell us. It takes a long time, let me just say, to process one block. So you'll walk away and then you'll come back and you'll be like, oh, okay, it's finally processed. So it's best to just leave that running while we work on other things, like the things we can make with steel, since we have it immediately. So yeah, apparently we can just toss this in here, and this is supposed to smelt it. Oh, does it? Did I not set up my blasting recipe correctly? I swear I just seen the recipe that said it can be blasted. So it has to be in a blast furnace in order to do this, but not via the create blasting. I swear I just seen that recipe. Wait, and there's another recipe right here for steel as well with the create planetary tweaks. And this one is a mixing of iron and coke, or regular coal. I mean, this one actually works great too. Apparently this all works together. This one gets turned into ad astra related plates, or immersive. I wonder how that picks that recipe. You gotta love the jankiness of the janky, you know? Don't blame me, I didn't make this pack. All right, I didn't make this. So I want to try out that create recipe, but first I'm gonna need a lot more charcoal. So I can actually get charcoal by smelting in here. So now we can see this is actually working, and we see that this should turn those 16 logs at a time, which is pretty optimal, into charcoal, just like that. So I can just put those logs in there, and since we have a tree farm that is infinite, basically, we have tons of fuel. So let's go ahead and make ourselves some steel. So I just need to put the fuel in right here, and then this should equate to a single stack. And so now we have the charcoal and the iron going in here, and then we just need to fuel it. Let's see, I'm going to use a couple of charcoal right here. I turn my blaze burner on, and this is going to be producing that steel. Okay, this is interesting. So what can we actually use the steel for? So we can definitely use it for tools, like you see right here, and there's also some other things. This increases attack damage and digging speed of the mining drill. Ooh, the mining drill would be really nice to have. It can mine a 3x3 and can also chop down entire trees very quickly. But yes, we can use it for water wheels for generating power. Also, some of the guns that are within Immersive is really nice. I'm assuming that using steel in your pickaxe would actually be pretty handy. Oh, structure cable anchors. These are so good for decorations. Also, making space suits and stuff like that. It's going to be definitely used to get into space. But also, just steel in general is a very useful item inside of the Immersive Engineering mod. And since I probably want to automate things down the road, it's going to be best to probably have all of that set up. So let's take our stack out of here and let's go ahead and compress enough to make some armor out of this too, because I feel like this armor is going to be better than what we currently have equipped. So if I remember right, I think it's 24 plates is what we would need to make a full set of regular armor. So let's pop those through, and we now see this is just how nice this is, having this water wheel set up, having the rotational speed controller ready to go. I do need to get another setup location for my or making the logic controllers. What are they called? The precision mechanisms. Yes, I'm going to need to get another place set up for that. But there we go. Now we have our plates, and so now I can make steel gear. Oh, this is going to be nice. So this is going to be some good stuff. And then I might just switch back over to using a respirator instead of the back tank. I think that the back tank, I don't know. I haven't enchanted any of this, but yes, already this gear is like significantly better. And by the way, this is what it looks like from the front. And if I actually remove my goggles, we can see now I'm peeking through this little helmet. Oh man, it'd be kind of cool if it had like a welding visor on the front of this gear. Like, I mean, it's immersive engineering. Like, we're engineering and stuff, so maybe we're welding. So we have like a welding shield. I don't know. That's just, that's me being nitpicky. I like to typically have my helmet taken off anyways, so I will do that. Now, I definitely want to sew in my chameleon molt, if I can say that right, into all of my gear. And like I said, you can't really see it, but I believe as soon as you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there we go, 6 on that piece. It does stop, so you do know that you've got it maxed out, even though you can't really visualize it. Oh, and by the way, now that we've got that gear, I did wanted to mention this. I did kind of find a way to semi-automate this. Well, kind of automate it. So I did find that the only thing that actually breaks these from the contraption is the plows. And so the plows will actually break, but they don't actually go into the contraption, unfortunately. These are kind of weird, or like sometimes they go into the contraption. It's very, very weird. But what I made was a factory hopper from the engineer's decor, and you can change the settings in here. And so I have this cranked all the way up, and this is a hopper with a very large like range. And then it's also a very fast hopper. And so it's actually collecting all these things that are nearby within this range. And I don't actually know what the max range is here. Maybe it's a 5x5. I don't know. But it does collect all of this, and it is quite nice. So if I drop, like, for example, items over here, it should collect that item just like that, and goes right in here. And so it's actually collecting these soul sprouts. And I can also just put the items back in here for it to restock the ground. And this is pretty effective, actually. Just thought I should mention that in case you've seen it in the background and was wondering what was going on there. Now, on to another thing we're gonna need. So I made myself 2 more quantum catchers with the mining materials, and we need to go find ourselves a cow. Well, a couple of cows, actually. So let me go ahead and push off here. I should be able to fly off. There we go. This is so cool landing on that. But yes, I need to go locate a couple of cows, bring them back to the base, and we need to kind of set up a pin for right now, because leather is going to be an integral part of the immersive engineering mod, and we are going to need quite a lot of it down the road. When perfect, right here is one of those cows, and there should be another cow over here. Yes, if I can use the mini-map properly. Perfect. Now we have 2 cows that we can start to breed up. While I'm over here, I kind of want to risk it. I want to see if I can't potentially go into this building right here and kind of test my luck and see what we can't do here. I think there's spawners in this. There's got to be spawners in here. Is there not? There's armor stands. Okay, the temperature's pretty hot in this biome as well. Oh, I hear zombies. Ah, yes. But yeah, this seems pretty reasonable though. Like we should be able to. Okay, it's just interesting. So it's just a zombie spawner. Oh well, that's not bad at all. That zombie spawner has the potential to be pretty nice. We could not only farm experience from it, but later on could potentially farm with the spirit mod from that spawner for zombies. The spirit mod, however, I would say is pretty late game considering the resources that it requires. It's quite a lot. And just flying over this base as it's slowly coming together is just amazing. Eventually we will be removing this structure right here and we'll be replacing it with something else. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, is to clear this out and have everything kind of like the central location being here. But yeah, that's just that's what I have planned for right now. Now let's go ahead and find an interesting place to get these animals in. And perfect, a nice little pen for our cows. And it's right here by our wheat as well, so I should be able to like pull out a stack of wheat and start to breed them. And the good part is I found out that this does work a little bit faster. This does seem to be growing a lot better. So as soon as I get all of this glass put into our greenhouse, then the crops will start growing a bit better. Perfect. Now we have some creosote oil built up, 5 buckets worth of it. And you can actually fill a bucket by just simply putting it into the blue slot up here, and you will be output on the orange. And you can also, by the way, output into a tank once we get a tank, and you can also hopper into this, and you can hopper out of it. It's kind of cool. Also, it told me don't drink this, and how dare it tell me how to live my life. No, in all seriousness though, we can actually use this bucket to create treated planks, and there's a lot of things that we can make with treated planks. One of them being, I believe, a tank that we can use. So Immersive has a very interesting, like, portable kind of tank that is available to us, and it's not super clear. This right here, the wooden barrel. It's, like I said, it's not very clear how this is a tank, but the wooden barrel is a tank, and I believe we can fill this up. Now, by default, if we look at it, it has, when we place it down, it has an output on the bottom and an input on the top. So it actually auto outputs to the bottom, which is kind of cool. And I think this can hold fluids. So if I place this right here and I find a faucet, which I believe is in this pack, yeah, we can use a faucet, I think, to fill this up. And this is starting to fill with creosote oil. Now I'm going to stop this for right now because I want to pick this up, because I'm pretty sure this will actually allow us to pick up the barrel. Yeah. So it does pick up and allows you to carry the fuel with it. And I wonder if I could pick up lava and put it in here. I mean, it sounds really dangerous, right? Putting lava into treated planks, because like wood is of course flammable, but it should work. And this faucet from Supplementaries has some really cool features. If you put, I believe if you put, what is it? The sponge underneath it, it will void fluids. So this is a way to actually void fluids. This will also send into to tanks. And you can also output fluids out of cauldrons with this too. In mind though, sometimes it can do weird things like output out of this multi-block actual blocks instead of fluids. So yeah, that's a thing. By the way, don't look too deeply into the achievements, because the parrots and the bats don't drink this, and now we're oiled up and ready to go. Apparently. I didn't make these. I didn't. By the way, something that we can also do is, well, get our cows running a little bit better. We can have these guys actually be poked. And if I made my fence a little bit smaller, we can actually kind of get these auto breeding while we're working on other things. And when we come back, we'll just have like a bunch of cows all over the place, which seems kind of interesting. So long as I give myself enough space, right? If I put this, for example, give them like a, I don't want to give them a 1x1 pin, but if I make the pin a little bit smaller, it might be a good idea. There we go. So that should work out just fine, and we'll move the little baby cow in here. But yes, they're not going to take any damage or anything by the little pokey guy. The pokey guy, however, can auto wheat them, if that's how I should put that. Auto wheat them. Is that how that works? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. But anyways, let's grab some wheat and we'll put this together. So I just give it to the hand, and notice it is going to breed them. And there it goes. Wait, did that just force the breed? No, they still have breeding cooldown, so it's not like going to constantly try to breed them and waste all of the wheat. It's only going to use what it can give them. That's so cool. Now, something else that's been kind of on my radar is this collapsible glider. I just kind of want to see what this is all about. We just need aluminum rods for this, which comes from bauxite, and we have ourselves a collapsible glider. So is this like a normal glider? I have no idea. Do we have to jump and then right click? Or how does this work? Does this attach to our gear? Sort of like an Elytra? I don't actually know. Maybe the Immersive book would tell me. Okay, interesting. It says sailing through the skies. Villagers tell stories about cities in the sky, guarded by dragons. Interesting. Humbling. Okay, concept. The collapsible glider is a device that affords just such libraries, allowing you to sail through the skies. It performs the same task as an Elytra that the villager spoke of. Okay, lower durability and lacks magical potential for enchantments. Oh. So do we equip this into our back slot? Oh, it's an Elytra. Oh. The glider is an Elytra, and it can be turned, okay. So it can be enchanted too, with mending and unbreaking. So it's a lesser Elytra. So now we have an Elytra. Okay, we can technically make rockets, some tier 1 rockets, and let's see. Oh, speed is too fast. Oh, it'll damage the glider. Oh, interesting. So even a tier 1 rocket technically is too fast, and so it starts to hurt the glider. But what if we like turn quickly? Oh gosh. I mean, it's rickety. It works. It is a way of traveling pretty smoothly. That's kind of awesome, honestly. The fact that you could wear this, jump off a mountain, and glide your way, glide your way somewhere. And this was pretty early game. I could have made this, I think, a little while ago. Yeah, this thing is going to be so nice. So nice when we go to somewhere like the end, for example. Oh, this could be kind of cool. By the way, I did go ahead and modify this and made sure it was sending to the top, because if you have it go to the bottom, it's going to waste all of your wheat on the baby cows. But it is actually working on the top. And I wonder if I could put a hopper down here and just let them die to cramming. And then we would just need to make sure we were supplying this with a constant supply of wheat. And then we would have a cow farm that would be pretty awful, actually. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd be pretty great, but yeah, just horrific when you think about it. Now, even with all of that, there is still one more thing that I kind of want to make that is from Immersive, and that is a shield, believe it or not, but a very specific shield. So this shield is going to utilize a regular shield and is also going to utilize these steel plates. And this is going to give us a pretty powerful shield, I believe. So let's go ahead and do that, and shield. Looks like I'll have to reinsert that back. And this gives us a shield that kind of bypasses the shield mod that's in here. And this is a fully protective shield, unlike all of the other shields that are in here that have like a parry, like a cooldown. This one? No, this one just works. And it also has some other crazy perks. Like it can flashbang its targets. So yeah, later on, whenever we get some more power and get power going, we can actually like flashbang our targets, which is going to stun them and give them blindness and allow us to get away if need be. Also, much like Call of Duty, all of these like shields and guns from Immersive Engineering can be kind of skinned as well, and later on we can do that. And I think we can also apply like banners, for example, to this and things like that. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with all of these pieces of gear to customize them and make them look the way you want. Now with all of this, I think I am ready for some adventures. So we did get a map a couple episodes ago, and I do want to go explore that map. It says it's a castle, and I can only imagine what that castle is. So I'm going to get myself a steel sword made up. I think next episode we're going to enchant a few things before we go adventuring, but I am pretty excited about that, and I hope you guys are too. And if you guys did enjoy today's episode, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We have a lot more steampunking to do, and I look forward to seeing you guys in that video as well. So, without further ado, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Frenchell. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord and becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so much for supporting this content. And of course, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Bye.